So guys, the next Dokkanfest on Global has indeed been revealed through the absolute legend that is iSeriously. This time through emojis. I know there's a lot of legal shit going on to do with leaks. I'm not going to go too much into it because I don't know the ins and outs. But I feel like up until the Global and JP sync, this is how we're going to find out who's coming next rather than the standard gifts. As Toon Rami literally commented underneath, it's over. If you haven't figured out already or seen who it is yet, very easy to figure out. Out of the three emojis, we have a finger, we have a beam or a ball, and we have some stars. Even by the first two, it's quite obvious who it is. Out of the handful of Dokkanfest we have left to come to Global, and that is first form Frieza. So first we're going to take a look at his banner, which if you didn't need more of a reason than the anniversary is literally a month away to save your stones, then I'm going to give you one very obvious reason, which is his banner is kind of doo-doo. So let me show you who's featured. Not only is there going to be him and Dodoria, who Frieza's a solid Dokkanfest, don't get me wrong. Two major things. Relying on category units, I think like terrifying conquering units, which just aren't in a good spot right now, hurts him. Second, his lead hurts him as well. And this one is kind of its own one, but it kind of ties into the second one. Doesn't really have any teams to go on. So there's one major reason. The Dodoria follows the same kind of things as Frieza, where he kind of needs Frieza to get guard. And he only has 3 categories. And all of them are old as shit. Moving on to the other featured units. These guys aren't bad, but if you really want them, picking them up with coins. This guy isn't bad, but if you really want him, pick him up with coins. Other than that, there is no value on this banner, aside from Frieza himself. Like I said, these two aren't bad, but they're not worth you summoning for. Like, they're really not. Especially what we already have in the game. Same with Tech Bardock. Ginyu's far too old at this point. He does get an easy A in the celebration, but again, nowhere near any value for you to be sinking some stones into. In terms of what Dokkanfest First Form Frieza does, he will 170 lead Planetary Destruction or Space Traveling Warriors. He will give the additional HP attack and defense plus 30% to Inhuman Deeds units and Terrifying Conquerors. This is on the JP Dokkan info site, so the translations are a bit different. He does stack attack on super attack by 30% and raise defense by 30% for 1 turn, causes immense damage to the enemy, and greatly lowers their attack by 30% as well. On entrance animation, if there are 2 or more Space Traveling Warrior category units, for 5 turns he will gain attack and defense plus 100% and have a 50% chance of it becoming a super attack. So immediately off the bat from his entrance animation, you need Space Traveling Warrior units, which I mean, there are some solid ones. But just like Terrifying Conquerors, it's aged quite a bit. So if we quickly pull up the category, aside from Frieza himself, Turles isn't too bad. But then there's quite a drop-off. This Ginyu Force unit's only on JP, so we're not even going to bother looking at him. These guys aren't bad, but when you think about the content that's out, do you really want to be bringing them? This guy mainly works with Vegeta family units. There's Frieza himself you would have to summon for here. Same with the Dodoria, who kind of needs Frieza to be good. You really do run out of options very quickly. So again, you're kind of depending on units or category units that are from categories that aren't that good anymore. If they came out like 2-3 years ago, 100%. Unfortunately, we're not. Starts the turn with Ki plus 3, attack and defense plus 150, gains an additional 150% attack and defense when attacking, gains an additional defense plus 20% and crit chance plus 10% per Terrifying Conquerors category ally on the team. Now, this isn't a buff where you need to necessarily pack out the team with Terrifying Conquering units, but you probably kind of want to do so to build as much of that buff up as possible. But once again, we quickly take a look at the category. It's just aged far too much. Like, if this was years ago and this guy was good, cool. Piccolo is still not usable. Piccolo Jr. is pretty usable if you have dupes. You do kind of have to keep him safe, though. Outside of that, again, this guy's only on JP, so we're going to ignore him. Golden Frieza's 1, like a guaranteed 1. Again, you kind of want to run this guy with Vegeta family units, but he could be 1, I guess. You need to actually pull the Frieza. Again, you need to actually pull the Dodoria, who mainly becomes good when Frieza's next to him. As I said, you just run out of options far too quickly because these categories, they need some help at this point. So again, you're kind of missing out on a lot of this buff, which you don't really want to do. He then gains an additional attack plus 100% and launches an additional super attack from the next turn after performing 5 or more attacks. He gains 100% attack and 50% crit chance when there's a pure Saiyan category enemy, and there's a guaranteed additional super attack when there's a low class warrior enemy. Right now on global, in the meaningful difficult content, we have none of these whatsoever. So you're not even going to be getting that buff. However, once we get to the 9th anniversary, there's a few pure Saiyan and low class warrior enemies, so he could thrive a little bit there. But for now, you might as well just ignore this part of his passive, so you can't even fully utilize him to as good as he can be, including this. His active skill, which by the way, animation wise, looks sensational. He will cause ultimate damage to the enemy and nullify the enemy's actions once for 1 turn. This can be activated when there is a low class warrior enemy, which again you're not going to be facing too much of on global, or from turn 3, which is still a very good condition when there's a pure Saiyan category enemy. Again, you won't get one of those until the 9th anniversary, or which is where global's at, which is having none of them, turn 5, which, considering with the way we're going with content, with eventually the 9th anniversary, but right now the Majin Buu Saga Red Zone, getting to turn 5 really isn't too difficult. So for active skill conditions, they're all pretty solid, if I'm being completely realistic. His link set is Big Bad Bosses, Frieza's Army, Universe's Most Malevolent, Strongest Clan in Space, Thirst for Conquest, Fear and Faith, Fierce Battle. He goes on Planetary Destruction, Space Traveling Warriors, Inhuman Deeds, Terrifying Conquerors, Most Malevolent Clan, which is I don't know why I forgot the English translation, but it's pretty much the whole like Frieza family category. Gifted Warriors and Sworn Enemies, and then we have the Dodoria Side Banner unit who will sub-lead Inhuman Deeds. On Super Attack will raise attack and defense by 30% for 1 turn, cause supreme damage to the enemy, have a 50% chance of stunning. Starts the turn with Key plus 2 attack and defense plus 150, gains an additional 100% attack and defense on Super. He'll gain an additional attack plus 10% up to 50%, and crit chance plus 6% up to 30% per attack performed. Inhuman Deeds category allows will gain Key plus 2 attack and defense plus 50%. Not a good category, but very good support. And of course, if you do get the Frieza along with the Dodoria, he will give Frieza permanent support because you kind of want to run them next to each other. He'll launch an additional attack which has a 50% chance to become a super attack for 5 turns on appearance. He'll then gain an additional attack and defense plus 100% and 50% crit chance from turn 6 from appearance. Then this is why you're going to want a Frieza next to him. Launch an additional attack which has a 70% chance for it to be a super attack if there is a character with the name Frieza in the team, which of course doesn't necessarily mean Dokkanfest, can literally just be a Frieza unit, but even still, outside of Golden Frieza and the new one, who is it going to be? And the reason why you want this is because you have guaranteed guard if they are attacking in the same turn, which is why you want them next to each other. But again, both these units don't really have a team or a place to be run on, so it's really not worth your stones. Link set is Brutal Beatdown, Coward, Frieza's Minion, Frieza's Army, Loyalty, Nightmare, First Battle, and he only goes on 3 categories as I mentioned, which is Inhuman Deeds, Terrifying Conquerors, Space Traveling Warriors, all which are old as shit and need some massive, massive help for both Dokkanfest First Form Frieza and this guy to be anywhat good. To round out the video though, we do have EZA Bardock's details. He does actually become a solid EZA. For being such a doo-doo unit for so many years, he does actually become a solid EZA, not gonna lie to you. So after EZAing, Revenge and low class warriors will get Key plus 4, HP attack and defense plus 170. Of course, stacks defense by 50%, cause immense damage to the enemy. Starts turn with Key plus 2, attack and defense plus 150, gains 50% attack when attacking, then gains an additional attack plus 20% up to 100%, and reduces damage received by 10% up to 50% per low class warrior category ally on the team. Now, this would be good, more so the damage reduction side of things, if it was just flat out in his passive. Even if you decided to give him less, say just 30, with no condition, while stacking, would be decent. Decent. The reason why I say this is because it may not include himself, which is good, but you're going to want to include 5 low class warrior category allies on the team to get his full 50% damage reduction, which I don't think you're going to be able to do or going to want to do without kind of forcing certain units on the team. Luckily, though, it doesn't exclude himself. So he's 10%. Maybe Fusha gives you 20 if you have her. Then there's 23rd World Tournament Goku. That's 3 units, maybe 2. Outside of them, what low-class warrior category units are you going to be using? Because they aren't good enough. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people love that Path to Power Kid Goku. Path to Power Kid Goku, better. He's not as good as he was. Same with Bardock. Same with this guy. Unfortunately, getting that full damage reduction, probably not going to be possible. He then gains 50% attack, and attacks become effective against all types when there is a most malevolent clan category enemy. Again, I don't know why I forgot the English translation to that, but you know exactly what category that is. Performs an additional attack that has a 50% chance to become a super attack when there is another low-class warrior category ally attacking in the same turn. Again, with a stacker, I would prefer it if he had a 50% chance of an additional super, or 70 just no condition, and then give him an extra one that has a strict condition like that. If you have 23rd World Tournament Goku, cool. Outside of that, I don't know. Then once he transforms into Super Saiyan, which is right here, of course he stops stacking, will greatly raise attack and defense by 50% for 1 turn, cause immense damage to the enemy and greatly lower defense. Starts the turn with Ki plus 3, attack and defense plus 180. Attacks become effective against all types. Has damage reduction by 18%. Launches an additional attack which has a 70% chance to become a super attack. This would have been better in base, I'm not going to lie to you. It would help with his stacking. Attack plus 100% when attacking. Have a 30% chance from a critical hit and evading enemy's attack. He then has Ki plus 3 and a chance from a critical hit and evading enemy's attack again. Plus 18% and damage reduced by 18% for 5 turns from the start of turn. So once you transform him, he will have Ki plus 6. He will have damage reduction by 36%. And it will also have a total of 60% dodge. Which, with the damage reduction not being that high, having that much dodge combined with it is actually pretty nice. Along with where you've stacked his defense up to. But that's only for 5 turns, once you decide to eventually transform him. He'll launch an additional attack, launch an additional super attack, and all attacks become crits when there is a most malevolent clan category enemy, which in meaningful content, there isn't any whatsoever. So that's probably something you're not going to be getting whatsoever, outside of like SPR and ESPR, or unless they do a new red zone, whenever that may be, that contains a most malevolent clan unit. So in terms of his EZA, as I said, he does become a lot better than what he was, because he was just straight shit for years, which really wasn't difficult to make him better. But there's a lot of holes in his kit which he could have become a lot better. Like, he actually could have been such an insane EZA if they kind of let go of some of the restrictions and conditional buffs he has, and then maybe added them with built-in additionals, with just flat-out damage reduction or guard to go on top. But all in all, even with that, he's still a solid EZA, but he's not like new best in the game. He's not, I don't think he's even top 5. I don't even know if he's top 10. But he does become a solid EZA and a hell of a lot better than he was. But again, that wasn't difficult. So global, we are back into the dry period until the anniversary comes, but don't worry, we only have a month's wait. I hope you're not going to, but let me know down in the comments if you will be summoning for Frieza, because you should be saving your stones for the 9th anniversary. But if you are going to summon, maybe it's your favorite character or something, do let me know, and I hope the summons go well. But I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care, have a good rest of your day, and post.